Welcome to Football-Oranje, your home of Dutch football. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I've got here a bunch of Netherlands players, the players that are currently in the squad, and also players that are yet to make an appearance but are some interesting wildcards. And I'm going to rank them on something called Tier Maker. I'll leave a link in the description so you can maybe have a go at this yourself. And you can of course send me your rankings as well. I've got here 5 rankings. Top class, how many top class players have the Netherlands actually got? Very good. Backup options or reserves. Players that I would drop from the team entirely. And also some future stars. I'll start with Jasper Cillessen. He has been the goalkeeper for a long time now, hasn't he? I know that some people would prefer a better goalkeeper. He of course played for Barcelona and then moved to Valencia and didn't have the best season in La Liga. For me though, I still think he's a very good goalkeeper and has proven himself at international level for Ronald Koeman. So for me, I think he's a very good goalkeeper. And if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below and who you would pick instead of him. Next, out of these 5 goalkeepers I've got here, I've got Jurgen Zut. Yeah, for me, he has to be dropped now from the team. He has been poor for PSV. He didn't have a best loan at Utrecht last season. I don't know where that leaves him now really, but he used to be a very good goalkeeper. Marco Bizot, he's the RZ goalkeeper, another very good goalkeeper, and I wonder whether he'll be picked soon over Cillessen for the number 1 jersey for Ronald Koeman. Tim Krul. He got relegated with Norwich, and his career's gone up and down, hasn't it? A bit like a roller coaster. I'm sort of torn between very good and backup. I am going to put him in backup because he hasn't played too much, and I think that he's not a bad option to bring on, if you've got an injury to your main goalkeeper. So yeah, I think we should keep him around the squad. Finally for goalkeepers, I've got Justin Bijlo, who is the final goalkeeper, and he, for me, goes straight into future stars. I do think though that he can be a number 1 for the Netherlands in the future if he continues to improve. He's still very young for a goalkeeper in his 20s. Terence Konkolo, he was fantastic for final, wasn't he, years ago? And was alright as well for Huddersfield in the Premier League, but he's now sort of wallowing around in the Championship. I think though he's still a very good backup option, and if he can get a loan move somewhere and play every week, he could be, again, a very good option off the bench for Koeman if there's an injury. Nathan Ake, so he's obviously made his big money move to Manchester City from Bournemouth this summer. I think that he is a good backup option. We're going to be moving on to, I'm sure, that I can think of a few defenders off the top of my head that are better than Ake. And Ake is a very good backup option to have, and he also works well when the Netherlands play 5 at the back because he works well in that sort of 3-man central defence. Very good defender. And I think that his time's sort of come at the wrong time because of the other defenders they've got in the squad. Daley Blind, a really contentious one with Netherlands fans. Is he a top option? For me, I think he's a very good player, and he can play at central defence, he can play at left back. He's mainly a left back now, isn't he, for the Dutch national team? I guess he'll be replaced once there's a very good left back to come in and take his place. He's also a great player to have in that defence in terms of his leadership skills. He's a good passer of the ball. So even though he's not the best left back in the world, and he doesn't play there for Ajax, he's a very good player to have in the squad. And Koeman really likes him too, so he gets lots of games. Matthijs de Ligt, for me, he was exceptional with Ajax, and he's gone on to have a very good season with Juventus after a dodgy start. He goes into top class, and I think that he's a future of the national team. Him and Virgil van Dijk, you know what there he is there. I'm going to put Van Dijk in top class too. 2 very good central defenders that are only going to get better and best together the more they play together. So now Stefan de Vrij, he is playing very well with Inter Milan, and he's a Champions League level defender. He's also, for me, a very good defender for the Netherlands national team. And like Ake, his time's sort of come at the wrong time because he's got Van Dijk and De Ligt ahead of him. But De Vrij still have very good central defenders to have. Now, as I said, I have got a few wildcard options in this squad, and one of them is right here. This is Zeevalk, who plays for Groningen. He could get a big move this summer or in the near future. And for me, he becomes a very good future star. He hasn't, as I say, made his debut for the Dutch national team yet, but I don't think he's far away from a call-up from Koeman at all. Denzel Dumfries, he's a PSV captain, and he is at the moment the first choice Netherlands right back. People still have doubts about him though, and he doesn't have the best of games when he plays for international level, perhaps because he needs to get a move away from PSV to heighten his game a bit more. I'm torn between very good and backup. Dumfries at the moment I wouldn't say is a very good Netherlands national team player, so I am going to put him in backup, which could raise a few questions as to who is the very good right back for the Dutch national team. I think they might still need to find one. Owen Wijndal, a future star. He could be the left back to replace Blind in the next couple of years if he continues his development with RZ and maybe move to a bigger club after that. He's really pacey, he's very technical, a very good attacking left back, and if he continues to develop his defensive side too, he will be probably the left back of the future. Oh, I'll get another left back as well afterwards, Patrick van Aanholt. He goes into backup though. Geertruida from Feyenoord. I quite like this player, and he has definitely come on a long way in the last year or so for Feyenoord. I am going to put him in future stars as well with Zeefuik. For me, he will be someone who can develop into that right back role and take on Dumfries for it. Well, continuing on the right back theme, I've got here Hans Hartebeur, who plays for Atalanta. His appearances for the Netherlands in the past haven't been that good, have they? He continues to play well for Atalanta, so I don't know, he needs to up his game when he comes to play for the Netherlands. I'm going to put him in backup. Joel Veltman. Very good player for Ajax over the years, with his service, but he has too many mistakes in him, doesn't he? A lot of Ajax fans will tell you that. He's moving to Brighton now. I think he's kind of at his level there at Brighton. He has been a good option off the bench at times, though, I've noticed, for Ajax and the Netherlands national team, but I am going to put him in drop. I think he might have a few too many mistakes in him. Frenkie de Jong, now, he has been a favourite of ours at Football-Oranje for a lot of years now. Straight into top class, brilliant midfielder, and I think we just need to find for him that partner in midfield who can be there, that'll play every game with him. Martin de Roon, well, on that topic, he is a current partner for Frenkie de Jong, and I think the criticism from some Dutch national team fans is that de Roon actually has been picked in the wrong games by Koeman, games where the Netherlands are expected to dominate the ball and score plenty of goals. So when he plays with de Jong, he becomes a little bit redundant, because de Jong can be a very good deep line playmaker, and you don't need de Roon there as well. But in the bigger games, if you're playing like an England or a Germany, de Roon and de Jong can work well together. So I am going to put him in very good, but Koeman perhaps needs to think about how he uses de Roon in future. He's not always going to be a starter, but can be a very good player when he's needed for the team. Ryan Gravenberch, now he's one for the future, isn't he? He could be that player next to de Jong in midfield because of the role that he takes on. De Jong is very technical with his passing and his vision. Gravenberch is more of a dribbler and someone who's more likely to try and win the ball back. He's still a raw talent though. He is far away from being a starter for the Dutch national team. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But at 17, I think he's going to play a lot of games for Ajax this season. Future star. David Proper, a good midfielder. I am going to put him in backup because he probably is a good replacement for de Jong if de Jong is ever injured. Who's next? Turncoat Miners. Really like this guy. He's a very good midfielder. And he plays in defence as well sometimes for RZ. I'm not saying he should play in defence for the Dutch national team, but he has a lot of very good defensive qualities, and his vision from deep is very good. He has to be given his chance very soon by Koeman, and I think he could be the one who could replace de Roon in his bigger games as a sort of more defensive-minded midfielder. Could maybe also replace de Jong as well if de Jong is ever injured. I think that, this is tricky because he could be a star of the future. He hasn't had many appearances yet. But I think I'm already going to promote him into a backup option because he will be very soon on the bench a lot for the Dutch national team, and then he'll probably start making his way into the first team. Leroy Fer, difficult, isn't it? Because he's not a brilliant player. I think if you're trying to see a game out, he can be good off the bench, so I'm going to put him in backup. I don't think he deserves to be dropped for the national team setup altogether. Oh, Kevin Strootman. Yeah, time to drop him, I think. He has been a player in that squad for so long now, but hasn't impressed at national team level, hasn't impressed for his club. I hope he can make a comeback. I know I don't dislike the guy, but he doesn't really turn up, does he, when he's put on the pitch? So, sorry, Strootman. Tony Vilhena. Ooh, difficult. I'm going to put him in backup because a bit like Leroy Fair, I've noticed there's quite a lot of midfield options that aren't the best for Koeman, but are also quite good if they need to be put on as a replacement. I remember Vilhena playing like left wing back at one point for Koeman. He can play a few positions. He's quite tenacious and always gives his best for the national team, and that's probably what you want if you're a Netherlands fan. Now, Donny van der Beek, this is where it gets a bit more interesting because I don't know whether to put him in very good or backup. He can have games where he can ghost a little bit too much, but at the same time, a very good technical player who can come up with very important goals. I'm going to put him in very good, but the jury's still out whether he's going to be a regular for the national team. Jorginho Wijnaldum, very good player, absolutely. He's also really picked up his contribution at national team level recently. Quincy Promes, I quite like this winger. Very good for Ajax, his contribution in terms of his goals. A good character as well. I'm going to put him in very good. I know that he perhaps needs to be more of a direct contributor for the national team, but I think he's a good winger to have around the first team squad. Yeah, Justin Kluivert, I'm going to put him in drop. I wonder if that's going to be questionable with you guys, maybe in the comments. Do you want to let me know if you think he deserves to stick around the team or not? Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I haven't watched Roma enough last season, but if you let me know if he's been a good player, should he stick around the team or not? Calvin Stengs, yeah, he needs to be given some games for L'Oranje, and he at the moment has only got one catch to his name, I think. He is a very good player and can be that creative right winger who can cut inside. Him and actually the next player, I've got here Moti Hurtado, the PSV right winger, who can also play as a 10. I think they're both exciting options of the future, but in terms of the next year or two, I think they can really both make an impact. I am going to be pragmatic though and put them both to future stars, just because they haven't made too many appearances yet, but I think they can make a great impact in the future. Cody Gakpo, another one, I'm going to put him in future stars. I've put a few wild cards in here for that reason, because there are some players that are very close to the national team. For example, Hurtado hasn't actually made his debut yet, but I know some of me Dutch fans are excited to see him play. Gakpo is the same kind of category there for me. Good winger for PSV, and could be an option for the national team in the future. Ryan Babel, I think his time's over. I think that he had a little bit of a twilight period in his career when he was scoring goals in the Nations League, but now I think he's getting a little bit too old and it's time for him to exit the Dutch national team. Steven Bergwijn, good player, and I think he'll continue to develop his game with Tottenham. I'm going to put him in very good, but again, one of those who could probably fit in the category in between very good and backup. Bergwijn is getting the games at the minute along with Promes, but maybe in future there could be a better option out there. I've talked about Stengs and Hurtado, they could be those options on the wings in the future. Steven Berghuis, ooh, difficult. He makes a very good contribution for Feyenoord, but he hasn't got a lot of fans for the national team. I'm going to say backup. I don't think he deserves to be dropped entirely, but you can already see that we have quite a few wingers where they can't all fit into the team. So I guess Berghuis would have to be an option off the bench, but once Stengs and Hurtado start to develop more, you're going to see players like Berghuis probably drop from the squad entirely. Memphis, get in top class, my son. He has been exceptional with his sort of attitude towards the team and how he plays for the Netherlands. It's brilliant. He's become the striker that the Netherlands needed with his all-round game. He could be even better though if he plays with another striker in attack. If he has wingers feeding him and the striker, it could be even better. But he has replaced that hole that the Netherlands had and has become the out-and-out striker rather than the winger. Daniel Marlin, he is definitely going to be one for the future, isn't he? He's scored a lot of goals for PSV before his long-term injury. I'm going to put him in very good. I'm going to be optimistic about Marlon, and I think that he'll make an impact really soon for the Netherlands. Then you've got Luuk de Jong. He's a backup option, isn't he? He's not someone you're going to bring on and start as a striker. I don't know if you watching now think that he should be dropped entirely. I agree that if he plays the whole 90 minutes, he doesn't have a great impact and doesn't do anywhere near as much as Memphis does. But he's very good in the air, and that's useful to have in games such as the one where the Netherlands were struggling against Northern Ireland. Bring on De Jong and he scores a goal. His height causes problems, simple as. Now here's another wild card, Joshua Zirkzee. He has to go into Future Stars. He might never make an appearance in the Dutch national team, but his form for Bayern Munich gives me promise that he could be one for the future. Wout Weghorst. Ooh, difficult. I really like him. I liked him when he was at RZ. He's been doing a very good job with Wolfsburg, and there was a time where I thought that he should have been selected far more often by Koeman. Now I'm not so sure he fits into exactly what Koeman's going to do. His height's a bit deceiving. He doesn't always score loads of headers. He's very good with build-up play though. I'm going to have to put him in backup. A bit like De Jong, he might not be selected too much in the future. I think he only wants to be called up if he's going to play. He needs to be patient, I guess, and keep scoring the goals for Wolfsburg, and it could be an option for Koeman again. Perhaps if he changes his style of play, Weghorst becomes a very good option. And finally, Moran Boadu. Another good striker. I think I'm going to put in Future Stars. I think that he's going to be a player of the future, a striker of the future. Him and Marlon with Memphis could be really exciting. Anyway, that's my selection. I'm going to leave a link in the comments in the description if you want to have a go at this yourself. How would you put these players? Are they top class for you? Should some more players be dropped? I've only dropped 5 players here. I'm just looking at who the Netherlands have actually got who are very good and top class players. You can count here 14 top class and very good players. That's good for a top class national team. I guess what you do want though is more players in that top class region. Can players like Boadu and Stengs develop to be like that? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I guess the Netherlands do want that sort of top class winger or attacking midfielder who can work in tandem with De Jong trying to create opportunities. But I think looking back from where the Netherlands were a few years ago, fans should be really happy with the squad they've got now. That was my team anyway. Let me know what yours looks like, if there's anyone else that you would change around. And of course, are there more players that you would put into this team? I've forgotten them completely. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this, please do leave it a like and subscribe to Football-Oranje if you haven't already. We do plenty of videos around the national team and the Eredivisie. Thanks for watching.